Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. I am Sir ReyCabual, a faculty of the College of Education of the Nueva Ecija University of Science and Technology. My topic this afternoon will be managing stress for work-life balance. We know very well that the stress is everywhere, and if this stress will not be dealt with accordingly, then it can be fatal. It can actually lead to depression, or it can actually lead to death. So the topics that I'm going to discuss with you will be the following: definition of stress. Then we have also the signs and symptoms, then the causes, the effects of stress, dealing with stressful situations, and understanding work stress. So what is the definition of stress? Stress is a fact of nature in which forces from the inside or outside world affect the individual, either one's emotional or physical being or well-being, or it can be both. Stress can be a neutral, negative, or positive experience. In the medical or biological context, stress is also defined as a physical, mental, or emotional factor that causes bodily or mental tension. So stresses, according to the biological or medical context, can either be internal or external. So what are the signs and symptoms of stress? So this can be classified according to the following. Number one, we have here mental stresses symptoms. Okay, if you are able to experience all of this, like trouble thinking clearly, memory problems, can't concentrate, you lack focus, low attention span, if you have poor judgment, if you are anxious or have these racing thoughts, and you are actually constantly worrying about everything, that can be a mental sign, or it can be a mental symptom of stress. If you are moody, easily upset or hurt, irritability, and short of temper, and you can easily be agitated, or you have this inability to relax or to keep still, and you have this feeling overwhelmed, that you are freeze as if you can do everything or anything, and you have this sense of loneliness and isolation, depression, or general unhappiness, can be an emotional sign or signs and symptoms of stress. If you have experienced tightness in your muscles, and you have bodily aches and pains, you have headaches, you're trembling, and you are sweating a lot, even in a very short exercise, you feel like, nausea or vomiting, and you feel dizzy all the time, or sometimes you experience chest pain, rapid heartbeat, loss of appetite, lack of sleep, and you are actually experiencing dreams and nightmares, then this can be the physical signs and symptoms of stress. But you have to take note that chest pain, rapid heartbeat, or the inability to breathe freely, losing of appetite can be signs also of the COVID-19. So, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, you have to be very careful also, because this can be, signs of the COVID, virus, or the virus actually that we're experiencing at the moment. So if you eat more, try to look at this. If you eat more or you eat less, you sleep too much or too little, you try to isolate yourself from others, you procrastinate or even neglect your responsibilities, like, passing on the next day of what you can do today, and you resort to drinking alcohol or smoking, or somehow resort to drugs to relax, and you have these nervous habits like nail biting or pacing, can be signs and symptoms of behavioral stresses. If you have this feeling of emptiness and you feel that God is not with you lose your interest. You have, the inability to forgive. You have this loss of direction. You have lots of doubts about what's happening in you or with your family or even what's happening in your environment. You need to prove yourself, and you have this negative outlook and you have a gloomy perspectives of what's happening, then you are experiencing this kind of spiritual stresses. For the relational, okay, for the relational signs and symptoms, you have here isolation. You tend to separate yourself. You don't want to associate yourself with the different kinds of people. You tend to be defensive and try to defend and try actually to point out a lot of reasons about anything or about simple things. You're intolerant. You have this resentment. Okay, you have this loneliness feeling, and you tend to nag all the time, and you have the low desire, and you are sometimes aggressive, and you tend that to attack actually a lot of people that tend to notice or to actually give the attention or lose their attention with you. That would fall under this kind of relational signs and symptoms of stress. What could be the causes of stress? Causes of stress can either be external or internal. So let's go now to the external causes of stress. It's where outside forces act on us, like this major life changes. So for example, if you've been single before and you're married, then definitely you find it difficult to adjust, no, from your situation. Then that can be part of this major life changes. It's a matter of life and death, for example. The death of a loved one can be part of this. It can also be work related, piling up of works to be done. Okay, there are submission of a lot of requirements that's directed of us by our heads or somehow by our superior can be part of this. Then relationship difficulties. You find difficulty in actually engaging yourself with establishing good or harmonious relationship with others in the workplace or maybe in the school environment or setting can be part of that. Well, number four is a very big problem talking about your finances. Well, anyway, a lot of people are experiencing this kind of financial problems because everything now requires money. Okay, every activity that we do requires money. Then being too busy, we try to preoccupy ourselves with a lot of things to do or to be done. That's why we experience all these kinds of external causes of stress. Then the last but not the least is the so-called children and family. Well, anyway, the children's needs, and even family needs, like our basic utilities or basic needs, would add up to the many causes that we are experiencing from day to day. That's why, as I mentioned a while ago, if we are not able to deal with this fairly or deal with this accordingly, this can be fatal or somehow result to depression, or would also result to the so-called our inability actually to deal with all these kinds of stresses. So we have to deal with all of this so that we can be will be able actually to have a healthy and balanced life. According to Wayne Dyer, you can't always control what goes on inside or outside, but you can always control what goes on inside. So it is a matter of how we deal with all the different or kinds of stresses that we are able to experience from our day-to-day living or with our day-to-day association with different kinds of people. Because there are a lot of people who would actually try our patience, and somehow they can also be human stressors that we cannot avoid because humans as we are, we tend to relate or to associate or to talk with different kinds of people. So for the internal causes of stress, these are actually self-generated. So these are actually kinds of stress that we have some control over it. So it's a matter, as I mentioned, how we are going to deal with all these kinds of activities or stresses, like inability to accept. As I mentioned, it's a matter of actually, we have this control. Say, for example, the COVID-19 that we're actually facing now, whether we like it or not, we have to accept that. And if you're not able to accept all of this, then that would actually fall into this kind of stress. Uncertainty. We are uncertain of the future. Now we are actually in the VUCA world, the VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Then doubts. Okay, so what are doubts? This is actually our inability to perceive of something that's real. That's why we believe sometimes that people are talking a lot of negative things about us. We tend to doubt also the trust or the confidence that's given to us by our superior sometimes, or by our co-faculty or co-worker, because stresses is everywhere. It can be felt not only in academic institution, it can also be felt in any kind of organization, whether it's business, it's education, or even in church. Actually, they're also experiencing these kinds of stresses. The negative self-talk, like believing that nobody cares about you, believing that nobody loves you, believing that people are actually better than you are. This kind of stress can actually be controlled, and it's only a matter of redirecting our mindsets with regards to how we deal with these kinds of negativities that we felt inside. Then we have also unrealistic expectations, like if you want to be number one, say for example, if you're in an academic institution and you want to be number one in the accomplishments that you want to submit for the college or for the university, and yet you're not doing anything. Okay, you tend to be or you tend to procrastinate or to be relax and doing what you need to submit for the college or the department. So in that note, if you want to be the best, then definitely you have to do also the best as you can, so that you'll be able to achieve what you want to achieve. Otherwise, that would fall under this kind of unrealistic expectations. Another thing here is perfectionism. You know, a lot of us want to be perfect, but I told you, nobody can perfect everything. Humans as we are, and we are actually born out of errors, out of sin, and so humans as we are, we tend to commit from time to time mistakes or errors of what we are doing. Another kind of internal, we have lack of assertiveness. This is one of the many flaws among Filipinos, or somehow not flaws, but lacking among Filipinos. That is our ability to express ourselves with others. Say, for example, if you're angry, okay, it you tend not to show that, a feeling that you're angry in a way that, okay, you try to just, keep that to yourself. And there will come a time that after some time, no, all those okay events could actually pile up, and what will happen? You tend to be aggressive, and you tend to actually manifest that through, shouting or yelling or any form of negativity that would somehow, no, be a point against you, or somehow would define the kind of behavior that you are able to manifest or to show. So according to low halts, it's not the load that breaks you down. It's actually the way you carry it. That's why with all the stresses that we are experiencing now, it is only a matter of how we are going to deal with this. Because if external, okay, causes cannot be controlled, you cannot control all those external causes, then the internal causes of stress can actually be controlled by you. So it's only a matter on how you'll be going to deal with all this stresses that you are actually experiencing. Okay. So what could be the effects of stress? If you are stressed, okay, all of this thing will happen on our body. You experience headache, you have muscle tension or pain, you have chest pain, you have fatigue, you have change in sex drive, then stomach upset. Then on your mood, you become anxious. You will experience anxiety, then restlessness. Then you have this lack of motivation or focus. And feeling overwhelmed, as was also mentioned previously. Okay, then irritability or anger, sadness or depression. And on our behavior, since this is the manifestation of all these stresses that usually is observable from us, we tend to overeat or to undereat. We eat more, and sometimes we eat less. And angry outbursts, like simple events. See, for example, one particular teacher will come to you and ask you for some help, but okay, you manifest as kind of, you're angry. uh, Not only just angry, but rather you yell at your teacher, I'm busy, I'm doing this one, I also have my deadlines, so do it your own. Okay, even in our family, this is also happening. When one of your children will come to you and ask for help, say for example, in solving problem solve I mean solving problems in mathematics, for example, and you don't know how to solve it, what you can do is to yell and call for your son or daughter to help his or her younger brother to do the assignment. Well, if you tend to drink a lot alcohol or misuse of it, you try to smoke, then social withdrawal, like you do not want to associate yourself with different kinds of people. And the usual activity that you have done, like exercising, will be actually lessened. So in that note, stress will actually pile up and would somehow cause a lot of, pain, not only in your body, but also in your emotions, also in your feeling, and would also result to actually somehow, now with the so-called withdrawal, as I mentioned, and that withdrawal will lead somehow to this kind of depression, then somehow suicide later. So how do we deal with stressful situations? Men and women actually have different ways of doing it. Okay, like for example, women tend to use this kind of tend or befriend approach. Paano ba yung tend or befriend approach? So halimbawa sa workplace natin, marami tayong mga trabaho na hindi natin kayang gawin sa sobrang dami. So we tend to actually consult or actually okay, ask for help from our partner, husband or wife. Okay, so women pala ito, so husband, no? O di kaya naman, you try to actually establish friendship with your co-faculty or co-worker para pag halimbawang meron kayong mga ginagawa, okay, magkakatulungan kayo. So it's actually asking for protection or actually mutual support, no, from one another. Then a lot of women definitely they try to establish this kind of adequate or enough kind of relationship, like relationship between okay, husband or partner, or it can be between co-workers in the workplace, or between faculty members, or even with students. Okay, then women tend to self-sacrifice. This will be one of the reasons why a lot of Europeans and even Westerners love Filipino women, because they have this kind of self-sacrifice. Say, for example, they tend to actually sacrifice for the sake of, saving a relationship, or somehow they tend to sacrifice for the goodness of everything. Like, for example, you want to donate something to a church, no? And you are drinking milk tea or iced tea all day or every day, then you tend to sacrifice by not, taking one cup or one bottle of tea or whatever, ice cream or ice cream or soft drinks, because you wanted to help, the church, no, by means of actually giving, okay, the savings that you have now with the church. Then, a lot of women also tend to use their emotions, no? They laugh it out, they cry it out, and after that, they do a lot of talking. Then after those events, or after all of those talking, okay, after expressing their emotions, then everything is okay, done. Meaning to say, the stress that they felt actually is reduced. But for men, also have different way of doing it. Like for example, fight or flight approach. So a lot of cases, like for example, when men are actually driving, no, along the streets, kung merong ano bang tawag nito, yung parang uuna sa kanila pag traffic situation, no, sumisigaw, nagagalit, may mga ibang nag-aaway, no, buksan ng pinto, nagbumurahan, then after some time, no, nagbabarilan. That can actually be fatal. So it's a fight approach. Pero kung minsan, meron din yung mga kalalakihan na mga iniisip pa rin, halimbawa ang mahal sa buhay nila, no? They try to drive safely. And if they're able to experience all those kinds of, drivers along the street that are sometimes, no, irregular or sometimes mga bully, so iniiwasan na lang. So definitely, pagka ang lalaki, maraming stresses na nakakaharap or na-experience, they tend to actually go beyond sometimes the limit. Kaya yung pag nagpa-pile up na yung mga stresses, ang nangyayari, yung performance nila, no, sa mga trabaho nila sa mga, okay, pwedeng sa school, pwedeng sa company or any organization, bumababa din. Okay? Yung kanilang performance. Kaya yung kanilang yung adequacy performance dito, they are not actually able to satisfy what they need to do. Kasi nga, ang dami-daming pile up ng mga trabaho, nagpa-pile up ng mga trabaho na dapat nilang gawin. Then sometimes men also try to face all the challenges. Just like yung sinasabing fight approach kanina. They tend to face a challenge. Okay lang naman siya, no? Kung i-face mo or you need to face actually the challenge. Pero kung halimbawa, yung challenges na yan would lead into this kind of competition na you need to go beyond, no, each other, or you need to actually be on top among others. Ang nangyayari away, no? Kaya may risk na sinasabi natin dito. But if the competition is a healthy one, okay lang yan. Halimbawa, naiinggit ka. Kasi yung isang tao ay meron siya nito at ikaw ay wala, then you strive hard and you're able to get what you want, then that can be, a healthy competition in that regard. Sometimes din ang mga lalaki, they try to actually have this kind of escape activity. So instead of actually facing the challenge, ang ginagawa nila, tatakasan na lang ang problema. A lot of men actually, marami tayong cases na nababalitaan, nakabuntis dahil bata pa sila, iniiwanan yung mga babae. Then after some time, sa kanila babalikan, no? Never too late, no? Pero kung late na, wala na siyang magagawa. Kasi 'di ba, maraming mga possible diversions ang ginagawa ang mga kalalakihan, no? Halimbawa kung may problema, ayan 'di ba, umiinom, call a friend, then punta sa isang lugar, iinom sila, then after that, ayan, ang nangyayari ay, okay, sa halip na harapin yung problema, natatakasan nila, no? O tinatakasan nila sa panandaliang pagkakataon lang. So, I think hindi dapat gano'n, no? Kung gusto mong ma-resolve ang problema or case, halimbawa, itong mga stresses na ginaharap natin, gusto nating malasan, we have to face the consequences. So, ito yung mga simple steps, no, kung paano natin, or actually points, kung paano natin na maiwasan yung stress. Kasi sabi nga natin, lalaki at babae, iba-iba yung pamamaraan nila, no, on how to deal with it. So number one, avoid unnecessary stress. Paano ba? Learn how to say no. Kasi kung minsan tayo mga Pilipino, hindi tayo marunong tumanggi, no? Dami nating ginagawa, pero sige pa rin kung may binibigay ng trabaho, okay po. Kasi nga, gano'n naman tayo kamasunurin. Avoid people who stress you out. Kasi kung minsan, sabi nga natin, maraming mga human stressors, no? Kung sa palagay mo, sa isang umaga na yan, makita mo siya, may iwasan mo siya, iwasan mo na. Kasi it will ruin actually your day. Take control of your environment. Sa totoo lang naman, ang ikaka-stress natin nasa sa atin lang naman eh. Halimbawa, messy ang kapaligiran mo, okay? With messy kinds of people na nakapaligid din sa'yo. So, andun talaga ang stress, no? Present to present. Ayan, avoid hot button topics. Kasi kung minsan, no, may mga topic tayong pinag-uusapan na would lead to a heated debate. So sa halip na magkakaibigan kayo, after that kind of heated debate, wala na, nawala ng friendship. Then sometimes also we need to pare down your your to-do list. Ako ginagawa ko diyan, every day, sa totoo lang until now at my age 56, 55, turning 56, I try to list down all the things that I need to do today for every day. Why? So that I'm guided. Okay, what are the achievements of Mr. Cabal for the day? So mainam 'yun kasi 'di ba pag halimbawa meron kang mga nagagawa ay mga hindi pa nagagawa, at least you can calibrate that to the next day or in the next day. So kumbaga yung hindi mo nagawa against the accomplishment that you have done, definitely, no, kung meron kang mga listahan ng mga dapat mong gawin, okay, you're guided and you can actually accomplish that. Kasi nga, may guide ka on what to do next or what could be your priority for the day. Then after the priority is achieved, then the next one and so on and so forth. Alter the situation. Baguhin natin yun. Paano natin yun mababago ang sitwasyon? Express your feelings instead of bottling them up. Diba? Kasi kadalasan natin, kinikimkim lang natin ang lahat ng mga pagkakataon, no? We do not want to express. Kasi, di ba, lack of assertiveness nga tayo, mga Pilipino. Okay? Sa mga lalaki, maraming assertive, no? Pero sa mga babae, pareho lang naman tayo, no? Lalaki at babae, andon yung, assertiveness na pagkakataon, pero kadalasan hindi natin nagagamit yan. Why? Due to respect. Why? Due to fear. Why? Because we wanted to preserve the relation. Okay, willing to compromise, dapat patuloy tayong mag-give in, di ba? Kasi hindi natin kaya talagang implementan ng ibang tao. So what we can actually do is to make them believe na okay, sige, ayaw mong mag-give in, di rin ako pwede mag-give in. We'll just, meet halfway. Pag-usapan na lang natin kung paano ang mas maganda. Di ba? Mas okay yan. Kaysa naman mag-separate ang inyong daan. Be more assertive. Ito na yung kaninang binabanggit natin na kulang tayo sa assertiveness kasi eh. Ano ba yung assertiveness? Pero wag naman yung masyadong garapalang assertiveness, no, na to the extent of actually looking into the yung bagtong negative negative way na assertiveness, no, in a way na nakakasira na rin ng relationship. Kasi kung minsan, no, yung mga tao sa sobrang assertive nila, ayan, hindi na nila hindi na nila kino-consider yung mga pagkakataon. Okay? O di kaya hindi na kino-consider yung wala na silang mga what if. Ang importante magawa ko to. Ang importante ma-achieve ko to. Okay? So manage your time better. Itong sinasabi kong time management, no, mas maganda talaga na if you are a teacher or if you are a worker, by the way, kung marunong tayong mag-manage ng ating time. Kasi di ba sabi nga natin, kung ang trabaho natin ay 8 hours a day sa isang school or sa isang tanggapan, pagdating sa bahay dapat wala naman ang trabaho. Tend to off your phones at inaaral ko na ngayon yan na pag halimbawa 8 o'clock na, wala na akong sinasagot ng mga messages unless importante. Bakit? I have to spend time with my family also. Like family dinner, then talking, with kids, kahit na malalaki na sila, kailangan pa rin nila ng kausap na daddy or mommy. Adapt the stressor. Kasi minsan sabi nga natin, may kasabihan, if you cannot click them, join them. So paano natin gagawin yan? Reframe the problems. Pinag-usapan niya halimbawa, hindi talaga pwedeng ganun lang. So, baguhin natin ang problema, no? Try to, find ways and means on how to, reframe the problems in such a way na kaya nating tanggapin o kaya nating magustuhan natin or makuha natin yung anong mga bagay na gusto natin. Ayan. Another one, look at the big picture. Kasi sometimes, no, ang nitingnan natin yung mali or weakness sometimes, no? Hindi natin nakikita yung mga kabutihan. 'Di ba? Parang bond paper lang 'yan. Ang linis-linis, no? Meron lang isang blot ng ink diyan. Ayaw mo nang gamitin, you try to crumple it and throw it away. Pero hindi mo nakita yung malaking space na mapapakinabangan pa sana, 'di ba? So, kung minsan, we need to adjust our standards like, well, kung high paloting yung mga ginagawa natin o inasahan natin sa ating buhay, no? We need to actually adjust. Parang sa pagpili lang yan na maging partner natin. You tend to look for the ideal. So, ang nangyayari, wala naman talagang ideal, walang perfect. Ayan, tumandang dalaga, tumandang binata. Ayan, focus also on the positive. Kasi di ba ang mga stressor nga, ang sinasabi nating adapting the stressor, sabi nga, if you cannot click them, join them. Kasi wala tayong magagawa. COVID ngayon, meron tayong curfew. Adapt. Kasi that's also for our own good, for our own good. Hindi naman yun na ini-implement dahil gusto tayong pahirapan ng government o ng ating mga barangay captains, no? Kaya dapat positive lang ang tingin natin kasi marami naman ituturo sa atin ng COVID kahit papaano. 'Di ba? Living together, eating together, 'di ba? Nasa bahay kayong pare-pareho, no? Work from home kayong pare-pareho, nagkikita-kita kayo araw-araw na dati ay hindi na natin nagagawa. Okay, accept the things you can change. Don't try to control the uncontrollable. Kasi tayo kung minsan, di ba, we tend to, overpower others. Hindi naman natin pwedeng gawin yun eh. If that is not beyond our means, then so be it. Let the supervisor or let the higher ups or let those people in the authority to actually do their job para para tayo hindi na tayo masyadong maapektuhan. Kasi kung halimbawa, gusto nating baguhin ang sistema, teacher tayo. Gusto nating baguhin ang sistema halimbawa ng isang organisasyon. Mga small time manggagawa lang tayo. Hindi natin pwedeng magawa yan, di ba? Ibigay na lang natin yan sa mga dapat na gumawa. Look for the upside kasi kung minsan, no, we try to tend to look at the negative feelings or the negative aspect all the time. Kaya look for the upside. Ano ba yung meron sa kabila? Pagkalimbawa ba itong pagkakataon na to ay in turnout of events ito ay mababago natin. Alin kaya ang mas maganda? Mas matatanggap kaya natin yung mga pangyayari na yan ng mas maluwag sa dibdib natin? O kaysa ipagpilitan natin na gawin ang mga bagay hindi natin kayang gawin? So, di ba, disappointments yan? Pag may disappointments ka, stress yan. Yan, share your feelings. Di ba, sabi nga natin, alam mo, gusto ko sana ganito, wala tayong magagawa dyan, Brad. Sis, wala tayong magagawa dyan. Teacher tayo, may boss tayo. So, kung ano yung gagawin o sinasabi ng mga boss natin, wala tayong magagawa. So, siguro, perfect time lang kailangan, no? Nagsa-cycle naman ang tao, 'di ba? O ang buhay natin. So, express lang natin 'yan. Pero yung pag-express natin, wag tayong mag-expect na pag-express ka mababago natin ang mga bagay-bagay. Ayan, learn to forgive. Ito yung pinakamahirap gawin ng isang tao. Pag nasaktan tayo, ang hirap-hirap nating tanggapin yung mga pagpapatawad o maibibigay ang pagpapatawad na yan. You know, humans as we are, kung si Kristo nga nai-offer niya ang kanyang buhay, no, just to save humanity, humankind. Kaya nga nandito tayo ngayon, no, buhay pa rin. So ano pa naman kaya ang inaasahan sa atin ng Panginoon, hindi ba? Kung hindi magpatawad. So anyway, sabi nga natin, humans as we are, may mga tao talagang napakahirap magpatawad, no, ng mga tao na na nag-inflict ng hurt sa kanila. Kaya kung minsan hindi talaga nagagawa yung anong tawag ito, yung sabi nating perfect na samahan, no, ng ating mga department or ng ating mga college o di kaya ng ating mga iba't ibang workplaces. Ayun, a lot time for fun and relaxation. Ito yung kulang o wala sa atin. Ayan, ito yung mga pamamaraan natin. Go for a walk, kasama mo yung pet mo, isama na natin ang pet diyan, no? O di man kaya yung partner mo, anak mo or pamilya mo, spend time in nature. Okay? Maganda. Ayan. Yung itong makikita niyo sa mga picture, play basketball, volleyball. Ako wala akong sports na alam, no? Ang alam ko lang ay lumakad lang at saka tumakbo ng konti. At may age na hindi na masyadong o hindi na kailangan o hindi na masyadong may kakayanan pagdating doon. So call a good friend. Kung minsan, di ba, may mga confidante tayo na iniisip, no? We can call that someone, then talk with him, then savor a coffee or warm coffee or tea. Ayan. Ay iba naman ginagawa ay punta sa mga bodybuilding o sa mga spa or nagpapapawis siya ng todo-todo after some time wala na yung kanilang stress. Yung iba, yung mahilig magsulat, no? Lalaki, babae, mahilig magsulat. Walang problema. Express your, even chat down everything that you are able to experience within the day. Positive man siya, negative. Then magkakaroon ka dapat ng resolution or reflection sa mga sinusulat mo. Ayan, take a long bath. Ito ginagawa ng mga Japanese kadalasan, no? They spend more than 2 to 4 or even 6 hours, no? Soaking their body, no? Sa tub. May mga aroma yan. Tapos after that, very relaxing daw sa kanila yan, no? Pagkatapos silang umahon dyan, ayan, they feel refreshed, energized again. Ayan, yung iba, no, light scented candles, no? Yung mga aroma. Sa bagay, yung aroma naman talaga nakakatulong yan na mag-tame ng ating minds, no? Parang music lang din yan. Pagka ang music kung minsan, no? Nakakatulong din yan para i-normalize yung ating mga nararamdaman. Okay? Ayan, play with Beth. So, importante, no? Magawa natin yan. A lot time for fun and relaxation. Pero sa ngayon, ingat-ingat tayo kasi nga COVID, no? Pero normally, nagagawa naman natin yan sa simpleng pamamaraan. Even in our home, nagagawa natin ang fun and relaxation na yan with our family members. Okay, adapt a healthy lifestyle. Exercise regularly, a healthy diet. Ngayon, sa panahon ngayon, talagang kailangan natin ng healthy diet kasi nga COVID, no? Sugar, caffeine, iwasan natin. Alcohol, lalong-lalo na sigarilyo or smoke tayo, even drugs. Pero ang pinaka-importante, we need to at least get enough sleep. Sabi ng mga experts, no, kailangan daw natin at least 8 to 10 hours of sleep para fresh ang mind natin. Pag gising sa umaga, napakaganda ng ating feeling. Okay? So, understanding work stresses kasi, 'di ba? Siyempre, mga work stresses natin, ang dami-daming mga nakakaranas ito, ano? And I guess everybody will agree kapag nakita ninyo ano mga common na work stresses na ito, no? Kasi may mga joys and pains din naman sa places natin. Unang-una, no, relationship at marami pang mga bagay, no? Okay, common sources of work stress. Ayan, ang baba ng sweldo, low salaries, and yet ang daming mga ginagawa. Excessive ang mga trabaho na binibigay sa atin. Meron din namang iba, no? Kasi nagtatrabaho sa isang company or institution na yung trabaho nila hindi naman fitted sa kanila. Say for example, nagtuturo ka ng hindi mo area or field of specialization kung teacher ka. O if your work actually demands for the use of technology, hindi mo naman kayang gawin. Stress. Diba? O di kaya naman yung iba kaya nagre-resign din sa trabaho because they find it not challenging, no, sa isang company na yan. Kaya maghahanap sila ng trabaho na very challenging. Lalong-lalo na ngayon yung ating mga 21st century kids, ang prediction sa kanila, before they will actually land permanently to a job, not apat, 14 na beses pa silang papalit-palit ng trabaho hanggang sa masatisfy sila to settle for that work. Another, lack of social support. Kasi kung minsan, di ba, jahe sa isang department or sa isang organisasyon na wala man lang, anong tawag nito, walang mga pagkakaibigan, walang friendly relationship or walang harmonious relationship na nangyayari, kulang tayo ng ating parang attachment sa isa't isa, no? Kulang ng parang pakipag-usap. So what happened, no? Stress ang mga tao. O, iba pa dito yung not having enough control over job-related decisions. Kasi di ba sabi nga, we tend to sometimes to overpower others. Hindi naman din pwedeng gawin yun kung tayo ay nasa mababang level lang. Di ba? So, ang masasabi ko lang, we have to wait for our perfect time na lang. Kasi sabi nga natin, life is a cycle naman. And nobody is indispensable in the position. You can be removed anytime, no? Because positions actually are positions of trust. Wala nang tiwala sa ang nakatataas, so you can be removed. Kaya ganun lang masasabi natin diyan, no? Another one is conflicting demands or unclear performance expectations. Kaya nga dapat klaro 'yan. The moment you get in to a particular institution or to a particular agency or organization, dapat malinaw kung ano yung mga inaasahan sa'yo na trabaho at dapat alam mo rin kung ano ang dapat mong gawin. Kasi di ba, yung sinasabi nating expectations, parang ganito lang yan. Kung teacher ka at obserbahan ka ng yung superior doon sa subject na hindi mo naman linya of specialization. Tapos kung ano-ano ang mga sinasabi, that's unfair. 'Di ba? Kung gusto kanyang makita na effective sa ginagawa mo, obserbahan kanya sa field or area of specialization mo para masabi niya kung anong lahat ng gusto niyang sabihin sa iyo. 'Di ba? Kasi anyway, ang observation naman talaga is for the purpose of actually uplifting or improving one's performance. Ganon din naman din sa pagtatrabaho yan kahit na sa anumang larangan. Okay? So be your own best critic. You know, some 60,000 thoughts being stream through your mind each day, and internal negativity is just as likely to stress you out as an external event. So instead of being harsh and critical of yourself, try pumping yourself up. Paano nga ba? Marami namang mga pamamaraan, di ba? Kasi minsan, ikaw nakakaalam, di ba? You know your feelings. Ikaw nakakaalam, halimbawa, when you are actually stressed out, you know what stressed you out. So, gawan mo ng paraan. Di ba? Paano ba? Oh, how do you pump yourself? 'Di ba? Kumain ka ng gusto mong pagkain o paborito mong pagkain. Puntahan mo 'yung lugar na gusto mong puntahan that you can actually reminisce, no? 'Yung mga magagandang bagay na nangyari dun sa lugar na pinuntahan mo. 'Di ba? Or somehow you together with your wife or husband or your family, punta kayo sa isang favorite place o lugar ninyo na kinakainan dati nung kayo pa lang ay magjowa, no? O magkaka-partner, di ba? So, punta sa mall together, no? Punta naman sa mga spa o punta naman sa mga health clinics, di ba? Kung saan mabibigyan ng pagkakataon yung katawan mo, no? To gain or to regain yung mga dapat mong ma-regain. Okay, act rather than react. You know, we and our big mouth, if we have nothing to say, okay, shut it off. Pero kung may magagawa ka naman, gawin din natin. Kasi that's the only way. Di ba? Kung may mga nakikita tayong mga bagay na pwede natin aksyonan, we have to do it. Okay? Pag wala ka namang magagawa, huwag ka na lang ding mag-react. So let go. No, hayaan na natin yung iba ang gumawa nun. Okay? Then schedule your day for energy and focus. So sometimes we tend to push, to use this kind of approach, push, push, push. Akala natin if we work for 8 hours a day, we are effective and efficient. And we tend to be productive. Pero sometimes, hindi po ganyan ang nangyayari, di ba? Kasi the more na ang dami natin ginagawa, the more that we spend a lot of time, no, sa pagtatrabaho. You know, we are human beings. We are not machines. Nagde-degenerate yung ating energy sa maghapon. Kaya sa halip na makakagawa ka ng mas marami, nababawasan pa yung performance natin. Kaya pagdating sa bahay, lupay-pay, no time, tulog ka agad, sandal lang sa upuan, nakatulog na. Kasi nga, you exhaust much of your time and your energy, working. Experience lang din naman to, no? Marami na nagsasabi na hindi naman tayo i-build ng monument ng mga pinagtatrabahoan natin after some time o nag-retire tayo, bigyan ka ng mga retirement package na yun, tapos na. Wala na. After a year or two, you are forgotten. Diba? Kahit na kung gaano ka pa kadaming na-contribute sa school. So focus, okay, your energy. Okay, have this energy and focus. Influence others. Even if you're responsible for your behavior and outlook, you're still left dealing with other people's stressful behavior. Kaya nga sabi nga natin pagka sa umaga pa lang negative na yung napi-feel ng isang tao, puro reklamo narinig mo sa mga tao o kasama mo na, ganito naman ikaw, ganito, ang dami naman kasing pinasasubmit, etc. etc. Negative po yun nakaka-stress. Halip na hindi mo na may iniisip yun because you're able to do your job at a time because you try to manage your time well. Kung siya hindi marunong mag-manage, naapektuhan ka. Pero sa isang banda, pwede naman natin ipakita sa kanya na it's only a matter of, time management. So ma'am, sir, ang gawin mo muna tong isa, pag natapos yung isa, wag nating pagsabay-sabayin. Kasi pag pagsabay-sabay natin ginagawa yan, really that will create a lot of stress for all of us. Okay? Confronting the problem by stating the bad behavior in a respectful tone. Kasi kung minsan, di ba sabi natin, we have the inability sometimes, no, to assert ourselves. So paano ba natin ma-impluwensyahan yung iba kung yung ating behavior ay hindi naman tanggap, or hindi naman it does not actually conform with the standards, no, of what is expected of you or of us as teachers or as employees, 'di ba? Empleyado tayo, 'di ba? So dapat andun ang respeto, andun ang trust. Okay? Hindi dapat nawawala 'yan. And you must be able to actually create an impact to your team or to your, co-faculty members or co-workers in a way that they are inspired as well. Maging source tayo ng inspiration. Kahit na anong klaseng inspiration pa yan. It can be spiritual or it can be other kinds of inspiration. Di ba? Kung gusto natin magkaroon ng pagbabago, definitely, we cannot tell others, you change, or they have to change. We have to change ourselves first. Gusto mo maging wholesome ang kolehiyo, halimbawa, or ang university, or ang workplaces natin, it should start from within. Katulad ng kasabihan, no? You cannot teach what you do not know. You cannot as well, okay, preach what you do not practice. So kung gusto mo nung mahinahon, maging mahinahon ka. 'Di ba? In a way na tanggap ng nakararami. Okay, cool down quickly. When you feel frustrated or angry, it's a heated feeling in your body that can cause you to react. Kasi kung minsan, no, kung overreaction tayo, nagkaroon tayo ng overreacting, no? Overreaction tayo. Baka mamaya atakihin tayo, no? Nasa sakripisyo yung ating kalusugan diyan. Health is wealth. Kasi kung minsan, no, akala natin cool tayo or ibig sabihin na kayang-kaya, malakas tayo, no? Pero kung halimbawa nag-react tayo, naghihiyaw ka dyan, at halimbawa nanggigigil ka, tapos nahirapan kang huminga, that can cause you stroke or heart attack or whatever failure, and somehow, no, death. Kaya dapat ang gagawin mo, find ways. Lumabas tayo, lumanghap or tumingin ng mga green na paligid, or tumingin ka sa mga tao na nakaka-inspire sa'yo. Para na sa ganun, maalis yung, tension, kung anong merong tension na meron ka. Okay? And sabi nga sa Philippians 4:6, no? Philippians chapter 4 verses 6 to 7, dapat magdasal tayo. Okay? Huwag tayong worry. Kasi 'di ba sabi nga sa Bible, no, yung mga ibon wala naman nag-aalaga, no? Pero nabubuhay sila. Yung mga lilis nga kung saan-saan dinadala ng agos ng ilog, no? But they are surviving. Sa tao pa kaya, 'di ba? Mahal tayo ng Diyos. And we should never actually give up, no? Yung ating mga sarili para lang talikuran yung mga paniniwala natin na wala ang Diyos or pinababayaan tayo ng Diyos. Okay, prioritize your priorities. It's something like prioritization talaga. No? Important to understand your role in the organization. Kasi di ba ang university organization natin may mga goals yan or objectives na dapat nating ma-achieve. Kaya dapat, di ba, kaya tayo may mga work plans tayo. Our work plans actually is also in accordance or aligned with the goals and objectives or the strategies of the university or of the whole institution. Bakit? Siyempre naman, they have also their targets, no, as expected of them by the higher ups. So, wala tayong magagawa We are part of the organization. What we can do actually is to, set also our own priorities. So, if your, priority is business, then you should not be in the field of teaching. If your priority is business, then you go with that kind of business. Then focus your strengths, no? I-prioritize mo kung ano ang dapat nating o i-prioritize natin kung ano ang mga dapat nating unahin. Like for example, lista ng mga dapat nating gawin. I usually do that. Kaya kung halimbawa, marami akong hindi nagagawa. Sa katulad ngayon, napakarami kong hindi pa nagagawa, no? Marami dapat pwedeng tapusin pero hindi pa magagawa kasi busy sa mga ibang mga trabaho pa. But anyway, at a time, one at a time. Pag natapos ang mga ibang gawain na yan, then anyway, makapag-focus tayo sa ibang mga dapat nating gawin. Ayan, reset the panic button kasi kadalasan sa atin panic no? For those who become panicky, ayan, panicky, and short of breath before a presentation or task, you can quickly reduce your anxiety with the right acupressure point. Press. Ano ba yung mga part dito na can actually lower your tension, no? Press, or actually exercise, shaking our hands or shaking our, lakad-lakad konti, no? To relax your muscle. Kasi kung minsan, kung nagpapanik ka, nawawala tayo sa focus. Okay? Tension, nawawala tayo sa focus. Okay? So identify the self-imposed stress. So learn to stop by imposing stress by building your own self. Building rather than seeking others' approval. At the end of the day, di ba? Ikaw yun. At kung ano man sasabihin sa ibang tao, ano ba? Kung may sinasabi sa yung negative ibang tao, who cares? Ikaw yung anong tawag dito, magpapatunay na hindi ka ganoon, no? Okay? So if you're too caught up in others' perceptions of you, which you can't control, you become stressed out. Bakit ka naman magpapastress? Ano ba naman ang pakialam ng iba tungkol sa'yo? Ang importante, you are doing what you are supposed to do. Ang importante, ginagawa mo kung anong dapat mong ginawa. Okay, change your story. Yan, your perspective of stressful office events is typically a subjective interpretation of the facts. Often see through the filter of your own self-doubt. Kasi kung minsan sabi nga natin, di ba, parang it's like changing your perspective. Kung negatibo ka, gawin mong positive ang paligid. How you can do that? Rearrange your table, put some pictures of your family or your inspiration or whatever that can actually, alter your mood, or that can actually change your story, or that can actually change your event. Para maiwasan natin yung mga stress na dapat nating iwasan. Eliminate interruptions. Ito yung binanggit ko kanina na pagdating sa bahay, dapat wala na, no? Wala na yung mga call na yan, wala nang tawag, wala nang Facebook, wala nang mga ginagawa. Kasi lahat tayo, no? Most of us are bombarded during the day. Well, you may not have control over the interrupters. Kasi marami tayong mga interruptions talaga. No? Katulad na lang halimbawa, teacher, nagpapakonsult ng thesis siya, nagpapakonsult ng mga trabaho nilang dapat na gawin. Those are interruptions, no? Nakakakos din siya ng stress. Pero sabi ko nga, it's only a matter of time management. Okay? So wala tayong magagawa. Tinanggap po yung trabaho. So accept that. Then sometimes you need to cut off. Sometimes you need to reduce, no? Para maiwasan natin yung gaano ba ka-importante ang maibibigay mo. Sa totoo lang, no? In reality, ang daming nagpapatulong, no? Na gumawa ng research pero hindi ko magawan. Kasi mayroon akong estudyante na hinaharap ng mga undergrad, no, na nagpapatulong sa thesis nila. Kasi unang-una, sino ba dapat ang una natin tulungan, di ba? Dapat mga sarili nating estudyante bago ang tagalabas. So, interruptions man yon, or actually mga possible stresses man yon, pero it can actually it can actually help you, no, become a better person. Bakit? Kasi nagawa mo yung trabaho mo na dapat mong gawin, no? At nagawa mo yung dapat mong gawin para sa iyong kapwa. Ayan. Give your stress wings and let it fly away. So pag nagawa natin yon, wala lang stress, or meron mang stress pero you can easily handle it. Okay. So ito yung mga susunod kong papakita, yung mga steps to manage stress in the workplace. No, mabilisan na lang po ito kasi kulang na po tayo ng oras. No? Nag-overtime na nga sana ako, overtime na nga ata ako dito. Ayan, track your stressors. No? Lista-lista kung anong dapat ninyong gawin sa mga stressors na yan, para lang sa ganun pag nangyari na, no? Okay, kung naranasan mo na, maiwasan na natin na gawin pa ulit, no? Maraming mga possible dito, no? Go for a walk, at taking notes, at kung ano pa yung mga stressors, i-record mo lang yan, then try to find out, no, kung paano mo siya nagawa ng action, how you deal with it. Then at the end of the day, masasabi mo, okay, mas madali lang pala itong gawin. Another one, no? Develop healthy responses. Ayan, avoid negativity. Dapat maging stress buster tayo. May exercise, pagiging great stress buster natin. Ayan, yoga, reflections, sleeping well, hobbies natin na ginagawa natin, mga healthy hobbies natin like exercise, we have to do it. Kasi pag hindi natin yan sagutan or hindi natin yan pakikialaman, walang mangyayari sa buhay natin, no? Ang stress, nakakamatay din po yan. And ito yung pinaka main causes, no? Or isa sa mga great causes ng mga cancer, no? Kaya dapat iwasan natin ang stress. Another one, ayan, time management, no? Ayan, novel, reading a novel, going to concerts, kung marami tayong pera, go to Manila, pero sa ngayon, wag muna, no? Ayan, getting enough of sleep, quality time, healthy sleep habits by limiting caffeine intake, no? Ako sa totoo lang ano ano ako, anong tawag nito? I was able to succeed, no? Parang 7 days na ako hindi nagkakape. Tea na lang muna. Kaya nakakatulog ako ng mahimbing sa gabi, no? Ayan, another one is ayan, establish boundaries. Kung minsan, 'di ba, sabi nga natin, kung hindi kayang tanggapin yung mga trabaho na masyadong madami na, then try to say no. Wag na nating hayaan na mapasok pa tayo ng lahat ng mga stresses na ito kasi kung minsan pag tinanggap mo ang trabaho, no, magkakapera ka nga, kamamatay mo naman, 'di ba? So dapat may mga boundaries tayo. Kaya nga kanina binanggit ko na pagkagabi na, no, inaaral ko na 'yan. Pag 8 o'clock wala naman ng sagot-sagot kahit ako sino pang tumawag diyan, I need rest also. Kung ayaw mong mag-rest nung tumatawag sa akin, may problema mo 'yon, but I need sometimes or I need some rest. Okay, time to recharge. Ayan, avoid negative effects of chronic stress or burnt out. Ayan, jogging, actually eating healthy diet, no? Ano pa ba yung kalimutan natin sometimes yung mga work-related activities natin, but try to focus on things na ano sa atin, ano, magre-revive ng ating energy. Kasi kung minsan or kadalasan, ano, ganun ang nangyayari. Okay? Another one, ayan, it is why critical that you disconnect from time to time in a way that fits your needs and preferences. Don't let your vacation days go to waste. Pero ngayon hindi pa pwedeng gawin yan. Pagka nag-normalize lang situation, pwede na. So when possible, take time off to relax and unwind so you can come back to work feeling reinvigorated and ready to perform at your best. When you are not able to take time off, get a quick boost by turning off your smartphone and focusing our attention on the non-work activities for a while. Hindi naman forever yan. Kung gabi lang naman mo ginagawa, wala naman problema yan, no? So learn how to relax. So maraming techniques dyan, meditation, deep breathing exercises, ano ba? Anong tawag nito? Making your day or taking a few minutes each day to focus on simple activity like breathing, walking, or enjoying a meal. Okay, marami pang paraan. I know you can do better, no? Or you have more ways on how to relax better. And talk to your supervisor. So importante, healthy relationship, no? Kung may problema, talk. Kung may problema at kung meron naman din gustong gawin, talk. So it's by in that way, no? Pagka merong open line communication ang head mo or supervisor with you, so maganda rin ang tatakbuhin ng ating organization, no? Kaya kung halimbawa may mga instances na nahihirapan tayo dahil kasi we fail to connect ourselves, no, with our supervisor. So somehow it's time to connect, no. Yung hatred, itabi na natin. Walang kwenta yan. That can only cause a lot of stresses in you. Ayan, talk to your supervisor na ulit lang. Ang purpose lang naman talaga dyan is to actually, eliminate the problems that may arise. So, siyempre, pag may pag-usap tayo sa supervisor natin, it should be in a way na it's work-related or job-related activity. Again, get some support. Yan, accepting help from trusted friends and family members can improve your ability to manage stress. So, wag tayong nahiya. Kung nakakaranas ka ng mga depression or tension, okay, talk to, good people. Marami namang mga magagaling na tao. Talk to your confidante that can actually help you and actually sometimes, anong tawag nito, refer you to a good doctor or a good stress manager, a stress buster that can help you out, or that can help you free actually from all the stresses that you are actually experiencing. Okay, take a deep breath. Ito yung pinakamadali na gawin, no? Calm down. Actually, naranasan ko na to. Pagkagalit ako, hinga ng malalim, then 3 beses. Para nang sa ganun ay ma-relax ka na. Then pagka medyo relax na, you can go back to the person or the people that you are actually talking with or discussing with. Problema man yan, kung ano yung kanyang problema na inilalapit sa'yo. Okay, eat right and sleep well. So I do not need to reiterate this. Ayan, ito yung source na pinanggagalingan natin. Okay? So, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint, according to Isaiah 40:31. Kaya nga sabi nga natin, prayer, no, is the best, a remedy, best way actually to fight stress. Kasi sabi nga natin, yung mga ibon nga na yan, lipad-lipad, nobody cares, pero they survive. Lilies, no, they survive. Kaya before I end, ito yung gusto kong i-share din sa ating lahat, no. So true leadership is tested and proved in crisis. Katulad ngayon, nasa pandemic tayo. So the real leader is the one who can handle the stress. He is the one who can solve the problems, bear the burdens, find the solutions, and win the victories when everyone else is merely flustered, confounded, and perplexed, according to John Mark Arthur. Kaya nga, gusto ko sanang ibilin talaga sa ating lahat na lalo na sa ating mga heads, alam natin na panahon ngayon ng pandemic, no, ang dami-dami pong mga problema na kinakaharap. We can never tell, no, na may mga problemang sinasarili ang ating mga kasama, no, o ating mga tauhan. So, kung minsan, no, nakakaroon tayo ng tinasabi na parang na-overburden natin ang mga empleyado natin or mga guro natin. So, try to balance lang siguro to tingnan mabuti kung ano yung mga pangyayari or what could be possibilities why all these things happen with regards to all of all of the experiences now that the faculty or even workers in the different organizations actually are facing. So napaka-importante kasi yung relationship talaga. Kung masira ang relationship, so paano pa natin magkakaroon ng tinatawag nating work, how can we actually instill working hand in hand with one another? Kaya pakiusap lang po sa lahat po ng nakikinig, no? So maging cooperative din tayo. So our supervisors are there, our heads are there. Hindi naman para magpasikat ang mga iyan kasi meron din silang mga trabaho na dapat nilang gawin. So, siyempre naman bilang mga heads natin, kailangan din nating sumunod. So, para iwas stress, so itawan na lang natin. Okay? So, I hope you learned from me kahit konti, marami pong salamat. This is Sir Reynaldo Cabal, Co-Ed Faculty of the Nueva Ecija University of Science and Technology, signing off. Thank you very much. Marami pong salamat.